We're at 14. We got this.
I know, I just don't want to mess up the intro. Is it already recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we just messed up.
Thanks, Trevor. Alright, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of what is and will always be the Sadistic Pixel Podcast. Joining me to my right, as always, is Zack Dickerson. As you can see, there's no John Allen today because he decided not to join us.
Come on, John.
He didn't even let me introduce him yet.
Oh.
To the left, as always, is the unofficial Baldwin brother, Trevor Baldwin.
How do you do?
And if you are uninformed on what our show is about, it's about a group of friends who are heavily immersed into the nerd culture, who just sit around this cheaply made table with the Master Chief in the middle, and we just talk about whatever we feel like, mostly gaming culture, nerdy stuff, movies, etc., etc., etc. If you want to see some of our past episodes and what we have coming in the future, you can always check out our channel at youtube.com/sadisticpixel and check out our website at sadisticpixel.com. And that's really the only intro I'm going to give you, so we're just going to go straight into it. And today, our first topic is brought to you by one of our writers at our website, Mr. Benjamin Logan. Congratulations on your marriage and everything. So we're going to start with your topic, and his topic is, does romance work in video games? And like just your thoughts on romance, etc., etc., etc.
Oddly appropriate since he recently got married.
Yeah.
That topic.
Yeah. Congratulations, by the way.
One of y'all start with this one. I'm going to have to think about this for a second.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Does it work in video games? I think more or less BioWare has made it work in video games. Like, it is, you get to, in their games, you have a few choices to pick from who you want to fall in love with or be with the rest of your life, or your gaming life for those extra 20 hours, I guess. Yeah. And then like the social games like Persona and Danganronpa, right? They have some. Yeah, I mean they have a lot of the flirtatious, deciding who you want to be with, things like that. But did it work before that? You could. I mean, it's like maybe
I think it was hit or miss.
I really feel like I personally started noticing romance in video games like in the 3D Final Fantasy games, because I feel like those between 7, 8, 9, and 10, they really push romance in those games. Like every single one of those had a romance subplot, and Final Fantasy 7 has the biggest probably love triangle in a video game ever. Right. And it turns out that she was really in love with Zack the whole time, and not really Cloud.
Oh.
So
he thought he was Zack.
Yeah. So he's all confused. And then in 8, it was Squall and Renoa. That was like just shoved down our throats. And 9, what was her name? The Garnet.
Dagger.
Did her and Sedaine, did they kind of?
Yeah, I mean
it was.
Yeah, I mean I spoilers, but I mean at the end was basically them getting back together, And
then of course 10 with Tidus and Yuna and their amazing laughter and happiness together. But I mean, like, then it kind of felt forced in some older games. Like, did Mario and Princess Peach, did they really, like, I mean, he just saved her all the time, but did she really love him, or was she just using him? Who knows? And then there's always with Link and Zelda, we don't know. I mean,
it's just kind of, it seems kind of implied, I guess.
Yeah, we don't really know.
Maybe it's just something that we want to believe. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
I'm sitting here trying to think of like romance in video games that have just worked, that didn't require, games like BioWare, and where you pick who you want to be with. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm kind of the same way. Like, that's a really good example was with what you're saying about BioWare, because most of the time, whenever you have a game like Final Fantasy 7, 8, or 9, and 10, and the love story is just there. It's not like with BioWare, you don't have to take part in that. But in those games, it's part of the story, and I think that it can work, but I think it can also take away from the actual story if done wrong. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example
of a bad romance.
Yeah,
I am too.
I don't guess I've really ever had a bad experience where it's just taken completely away from the story. Now that I'm thinking about it. But
it's driving me crazy, because I'm sitting here thinking, and it's gonna be one of those deals that when we're off camera, I'm gonna be like, I completely forgot about that,
In terms of like, do I think they work? I mean, it can definitely work. I think it adds a a different emotional side to, you know, a story, and it can sometimes be a good way to, you know, just kind of step away from the main story. From, like, I know it sounds kind of weird, but
no, like Drake and Elena in
yeah,
Uncharted. That's
like,
such a
whenever
fun,
everything else is going on, you know, like with 10, you know, and with is it Titus or Titus, however you want to pronounce it?
It's Titus. I
Okay,
just finally accepted that I was the only one that called it Titus. So.
With Titus and Yuna, you know, it's sometimes it can be nice just to like have those moments where they were swimming in that pool, that pond, wherever it was, like right near Bavel.
That body of water.
Yeah, that body of water. You know, sometimes it can be nice to just step away from all the other, you know, what else is going on for a moment.
All the madness and everything that's going
Yeah,
on.
and I know it sounds crazy, but I think it can work. It just, as long as it's not
like shoved down our throat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I think that it can make a good, you know, thing on the side.
I know you're not gonna understand this one, but he's gonna get it. Johnny and what is her name? Metal Gear Solid 4, the redhead. What is her name? Meryl. Like in Metal Gear Solid 1, they tried to set it up like Meryl and Snake were gonna be like this relationship, and then like in Metal Gear Solid 4, it's Meryl and this obnoxious guy named Johnny. And they forced it down your throat.
Really?
Well, the thing was, like, in part of the game, Meryl seemed to show that she was still interested in him in a way.
Yeah.
But with the whole, like, he was
like,
aging so fast.
There's that, and then he'll attest to this. At the end of the game, like there's a cutscene where her and this Johnny guy are like shooting everything, and they're like they're being really cheesy, and they're like, I love you and I love you too, and they're like, let's get married or something like that.
It's rolling around shit, like, marry me.
Yeah, and
stuff like that.
And you're just like, is this supposed to be serious or not? Because that's the brilliance of Kojima, because you don't know what's serious and what's not. And maybe that's just brilliance on his part, because maybe it's just bad writing and we just all think maybe that's just him being Kojima.
Yeah.
Classic Kojima.
Classic Kojima. But that's like the only bad example that popped up in my head that I can think of. But I didn't. Go ahead, Zach. I haven't let you.
It's kind of like thrown in there.
Yeah, it really is.
I think it could work if it's well written.
Yeah.
Like, if it's something that just eases into it, like it kind of gives hints to it, and then throughout the story it develops more.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, it's definitely gonna work. I mean, it's like with the whole Titus and Yuna thing, it wasn't really thrown in there. It was kind of just, you know, working towards something. So you could tell how he reacted. You know, like, hey, she's not that bad, and then the whole dialogue choices it gave you and whatnot. It kind of leads to a relationship possibly starting, but it all depends on the writing, if it works or not.
It's just like that, anything, a romance novel or movie or anything, because I read so many romance novels, but you know.
I was like, oh yeah.
TV shows. No, I agree with you. If it's like fluid and it just feels natural, then it's okay. I mean, but
if it's like in a game that's not based around that, yeah, which, heck, there is a lot of romance and stuff, but not in many AAA games. Like, I read a lot of visual novels, and a lot of them have a bunch of romance plots in them.
Yeah.
And everything. So it definitely works in that setting, but then again, it's built around that setting. Like, with all different characters.
Right, like, that's what you're getting into. Like,
you know what
if that's something you want to play, then exactly.
And no, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's fine, but when it comes to just having romance into a game, like I said before, I think it could work if it's well written. And it's not just shoved down in there with the whole Johnny and Meryl thing. It's like, oh, let's last minute throw these two together.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm always confused about that. But I mean, and I like that Ben said romance, because if you go love story, you know, love story doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, a romance. It could be like Joel and Ellie. That's a love story. That's a father and a daughter thing.
Yeah.
And Booker and Elizabeth in BioShock Infinite. That's the same thing. So I really like the way he put that. I mean, I think romance works if it's done right, if it's fluid, and or if you have your own choices, if you want to choose who you want to be with. I mean, who'd you guys pick to be with in Mass Effect?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember the blue girl.
Holly?
Yeah.
Or which blue girl? The
first blue girl you meet?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Well, there's Holly, and then there's oh my gosh, what is her name? Liara?
Liara. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. I think the one that I chose was the. I thought she was a purple robot.
So you picked Holly.
That's
The
Holly.
mask. She's the best female pick of the game. So, but yeah, It works, and I like those games because you, like you said, you don't have to do the romance angle, but it's like a side thing.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and if it is, if it is in there, just like most of some of the Final Fantasies have been, as long as it's just like Zach said, well written, and it doesn't take away from what else is going on, rather than complements it, then I think it can work.
You're not playing Final Fantasy like, oh, who's going to get with who in this game.
Yeah.
You're playing it for the whole story and the action.
We were talking about Final Fantasy, and that brought me back to that amazing Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy 13, with Snow and
Sarah. Yeah.
Sarah. That one, I mean, it was kind of the driving force for him, but it wasn't, it's weird because it wasn't the forefront. The game was about lightning. What was that game about?
I don't
know.
What
was it really about?
I feel like there were a lot of issues with that.
A lot of issues with Final Fantasy 13. No.
I feel like with Snow and Sarah, it was kind of
did you care?
No.
Did you care they were floating around in those fireworks or
No.
anything? I didn't. There's a good example. I mean,
here's his drive. He wants to fight for her.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Troy Baker.
I guess that it's the same with, and not even with the romance and the love stories and all that. I think that it is with anything in a game is you don't want the side stuff to just be tacked on, forced on and tacked on. You want everything to complement each other and work together in a way that makes an amazing game.
Yep.
And that really, as long as it can do that, I'm fine with anything, whether it be a romance or some other kind of side story. I welcome that stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just as long as it's done right.
Yeah, of course.
So, you both agree that romance can work if it's done right, and
if it's done right, it can work.
And I agree too. And Ben, thank you for that topic to start us up on this episode. And we're gonna continue with Mr. Zack Dickerson over there, who's having some indigestion problems.
Yeah, I feel like I'm having indigestion.
All right, Zach, what is your topic?
My topic, and kind of coincides with what recently just came out, Bloodborne, is how do you feel about games with a set difficulty or are made to be difficult, aka Bloodborne, and just any of the Souls games like those, just games that are hard, but they're made to be that way. You can't change how they are.
Right. Well,
discuss.
I think, like anything else, if done right, makes a great game. It's
like romance.
Yeah.
So this sounds a lot like the last topic.
I can't say I've beaten any of those games because I haven't, but I do enjoy them. I plan on picking up Dark Souls 2 and Bloodborne at some point. I don't know when yet, just whenever money allows me to. But I think that it makes, for a really fun game, especially with those, because it's a big challenge, and
they're definitely not for everybody.
Right, it's not for everybody, so the audience, they know who the audience is that, is going to buy this game. And I like that because that also creates a community, I guess. But in terms of gameplay, I think it's fun because it does give you a challenge, and it also allows me to take breaks from said games.
Yeah.
I start getting so mad and I really like that because, and this may sound weird, but when I sit down and I play a game for 6 to 8 hours straight, I'm having a good time and I'm glad that I'm doing it, but I get burnt out on it a lot quicker. So I think that with those games, it may take me longer to beat, but I pace myself more.
That cleric beast.
Yeah, I couldn't even get past the first optional boss on Bloodborne, but it didn't deter me from the game. I still think it's a great game, and I'm excited to play it.
See, my thing is I've never played any of the Souls games, so Bloodborne was like my first venture into it, and I didn't know what I was gonna think, and I loved it. It took me a little bit to get used to everything.
Yeah.
But I always kind of been hesitant on playing them because I was like, are these games as good as everybody says? It's like he says, you may be able to only play them for 1 to 2 hours, but man, when you're not playing it eats at you. Like, it's eating at me that I need to be playing Bloodborne right now. Right. I want to play it because I want to get going. I beat that cleric beast and I was like, thank you. And then I know people have already beaten Bloodborne, like you're already probably almost have beaten it the second time, right? So
I'm getting through it. I've already beaten the first boss you really had to fight. I've already beat the cleric beast and Father G. So and I'm in the area now where I can fight another boss if I want to. So I'm trying to get through it again.
See, I like the set difficulty because I like to feel like I accomplished something when I beat a game. That's why I love RPGs and why I love like grinding it out for 100 to 120 hours. And playing Bloodborne makes me want to go back and play all the Souls games and torture myself for the next 4 to 5 months. So. But I mean, I enjoy them because when I was younger, you play those old like Nintendo, Super Nintendo games like Contra and Contra is really, when I think of the hardest games I've ever played, it'd be like Contra or things like that, and they
just
didn't.
need the Konami code.
That doesn't help sometimes, Zach.
Not with Contra, no.
No, but I mean, it's just, I like the feel of accomplishment, and it's like you say, the games aren't for everybody, and I'm not trying to discredit anybody who enjoys playing shooters or sports games or doesn't want to, who wants to just sit down and relax and play a game. But like
Bloodborne's not the game for that.
No. Like I usually, when I'm playing a game, this kind of leading to one of our later topics. I like to sit back and recline and play a game. Like when I'm playing Skyrim, I just sit back there, play for 6 to 8 hours. When I'm playing Bloodborne, it's like I'm playing a multiplayer game where I gotta lean forward and get into it.
And you're stressed out.
Yeah, you're stressing out. You're like sweating. You're like throwing stuff. Pretty much.
See, I really like that too. Like with, I think that. Kind of like you said, it's not for everybody, and this is a different viewpoint, but I think that creates a certain community for an online community for that type of stuff. Like there is our buddy Zack is always talking about it not this Zack, but different Zack is always talking about all the time how he just feels like he's a part of just this completely out there community that plays the Souls games and Bloodborne, and I think that's neat. I think it creates
there's always a certain niche of
and I think that that's something that's always cool to be a part of, and I think that that's something that these games like this create, and I'd see that as a good thing.
But I tell you what, that niche is growing because I think
Bloodborne has kind of just put it in there for how it was made, how it's more made for an aggressive like players and whatnot. So more people, I think, were able to get into it with Bloodborne.
And that makes me wonder how that community is going to be if this series takes off, because how it's like with anything, they like being that little group, but when things start taking off, you're like, do you want to be a part of that anymore? Or do you want to be different from everybody else? So, what's your thoughts on it, Zach?
I appreciate a difficult game. I mean, I've played. Like before Bloodborne came out, I've played the other Souls games and Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1 and 2. Dark Souls 2 was the more recent one I had on the PS3. And I've got a phone call right now, but I'm choosing not to answer it.
What a good friend you are.
I hope no one's dying. And I played Dark Souls 2. I liked it, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, like I didn't get far in it at all. And I ended up stopped playing it, and I think I let Zack borrow it at that point before the remastered came out. And then when Bloodborne came out, I was sitting there skeptical about, I've played a challenging game like this before, and will I be able to actually sit down and get into it, not like I did with Dark Souls 2. And I finally played it, and I liked it. I really liked it. I liked the feeling of accomplishment when you defeat something like the first real challenge of that game is that mob of people.
Oh,
I know. I died so many times at that mob. It was so rewarding whenever whenever I finally killed them all.
And what I like about that is that the games like these are set on a learning curve. Like, you can't go in doing the same thing because same thing's going to happen. You're going to die. It's like that with Bloodborne. That was kind of the introduction saying that if you get overrun, you're screwed. And whatnot, that things can turn around real quick, and not in your favor. And I just like the feeling of accomplishment when you finally get through an area and whatnot. And luckily, I'm glad my worries were for naught and everything. I loved the game. I sat through and got through it, beat it. I'm not sure how many hours it took to actually beat it, but
is there a stats page on there that lets you?
I think there is. I mean, Zack was telling me whenever he beat it, it took him 29 hours. So it's definitely one of the shorter games and everything. It's not as long as Dark Souls 2 is, and I really want to get Dark Souls 2 now since it came out, but I want to try and platinum Bloodborne before I think about getting it.
We're gonna do it.
Y'all can do it.
But
You can do it too.
I'll get Bloodborne sometime.
But
I just bought an Apple Watch. I need to hold off for a little while.
yeah, just a little
I
bit.
got,
Hey,
I got a trip to save.
Segue. Check out our episode
Yep.
of our thoughts on the Apple Watch. But back to the topic.
But-
John, what do you? Oh wait,
Oh,
thanks for
man,
showing up,
dang
John.
it.
Wait,
But-
anyway,
I thought he was here the whole time.
Yeah.
just with games like that, they're for a set people, and if you really want a challenge, definitely pick them up. But just know what you're getting into when you pick up
Yeah.
that kind of games. I
Agreed.
mean,
Okay, so I have a question on your guys' opinion on something about this topic. You made me think of this. With what you're saying, like how Bloodborne has kind of opened the doors to more people than the Souls game has, the Souls games did. It has allowed more people into that set niche community. Do you think that this could be something to where it starts getting so big that the game developers of who makes
From Software.
From Software, and they did Dark Souls as well.
Yeah.
Right? This is all the same people.
Yeah, but From Software, the Souls games are, besides Demon Souls, are multi-platform. Bloodborne was a Sony exclusive.
Okay.
so-
Okay.
there's
So
like two different teams in From Software. That do
usually
it.
when something gets bigger like that, it seems to me like the developers will make changes to accommodate to some of
They-
these people. And do you think that they will start accommodating to these newer people that, maybe Bloodborne or the next title let in? I'm not saying the next one will be easy, and I know Bloodborne's not easy, but do you foresee that possibly being a thing?
Well, that's like, and he'll probably attest to this because he knows better than me. From what I understand, there are people who aren't crazy about Bloodborne because it seems to be a lot easier than the other ones.
Exactly.
'Cause-
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just how any series is. The smallest changes, people just don't like it. I mean, that's just how every series is. I mean, look at what Final Fantasy is now. I mean that's a different topic for a different day. But you grow up liking one thing, and it's just over time they gotta accommodate. I mean, I'm hoping Persona 5 is exactly like Persona 4, but Persona 5 is gonna sell a lot like
Yeah.
that. That will be the best-selling Persona game of all time, and I feel like Japanese games in general are becoming popular again.
Yeah.
What's so funny?
I'll get that one, get to the final dungeon and quit playing too.
And Persona 4.
I am excited for Persona 5.
But like his question, you're gonna be the best one to answer that about the whole easier, your whole thoughts on that.
I mean, like I've went through into the communities and whatnot, and a lot of Dark Souls veterans, some of them like Bloodborne how it is, but some of them don't. As well,
Yeah.
just like you said, it seems a little easy, and I can agree with that one after playing some of Dark Souls 2, not as many hours as I probably should have, but just some, and then playing Bloodborne. Like Bloodborne is relatively easier, but that's because of how the mechanics are.
Yeah.
And like, it basically becomes like a farming ritual to get blood vials and
Yeah.
whatnot. Like, it's so easy to heal yourself in that game.
Yeah.
Especially whenever you take damage and you have a little orange bar and you just start attacking, you can fill it back up, which works with the aggressive style. It rewards you for being aggressive.
Yeah.
But the thing that takes it away from it, with Dark Souls 2, the only way you could really survive is with the Estus Flask, and you only had so many uses of it before you had to go to a bonfire and rest and refill it. But you had to find certain pieces to upgrade it.
Yeah.
That was your only lifeline, really, in that game, was that Estus Flask.
So basically, you're telling me when I go back to play the Souls games, I'm gonna have to reteach myself.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly how it is. People who came from Dark Souls just had to basically reteach themselves with Bloodborne. 'Cause
Yeah.
It was different.
Okay.
It was the same concept but different, and people who are used to Bloodborne and everything have to reteach themselves with Dark Souls because the mechanics are different, but they're the same at the same time.
Right. Okay.
So, which I imagine there'll be a Bloodborne 2.
Oh, I'm sure, and it wouldn't surprise me. And we're gonna do an E3 prediction show. I think. I think
Yeah.
we're all really. I think that's one of my most anticipated things, sitting around the table talking about
Yeah, I
E3
can't
with
wait.
you guys. But it wouldn't surprise me. Dark Souls 2 came out 2 years ago. Was it 2013 or 2000? Was it last year? I want to say it was 2013.
It wasn't last year.
I think it was 2013.
Whoa, gosh, was it? No, there's no way.
It was 2013. I think it was spring of 2013.
Maybe, I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but now I'm thinking it may have been last year. Heck,
No, because last year the PS4 and things were.
Yeah, gosh, I don't know. That's.
But anyway,
yeah.
I feel like the thing about those games, I feel like they're probably not too difficult to make, like create. So I bet a Dark Souls 3 will get announced this year.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I mean,
It's also another thing about those games. I mean, it's not really about the difficulty. It's just like the story wise of them. It's like you said. I mean, they're not. It doesn't seem that difficult to make because all the stuff is really hidden.
yeah,
And everything. Like you have to you learn the story by piecing it together yourself with
Yeah.
all the items and the lore and everything behind it. It's not like most games where it just like, hey, this is what's going on here. Da 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 da. Another cutscene. Like
Right.
when I was playing that game, I probably only watched probably 4 or 5 cutscenes total. But then everything else was just going here and there.
Yeah.
Most of those cutscenes, I just didn't really consider them actual cutscenes. Was something that would happen before certain bosses or after like main bosses. Like there's just after you beat the certain boss, something happens, and it kind of like tells you what something happens, and it's really creepy how it does it. But then it doesn't say anything else about it.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what really happened until you start exploring the world again, and then you notice what happened.
yeah, and like, you know, you were talking about that reward system. I love when you get somewhere, like you're fighting, you're just like, oh my gosh, I wish there was a point where, you know, I can find some way to get a shortcut, and you find that lever that creates a shortcut, and you're just like,
You ever find an elevator, get on it. That's
You
your
know,
shortcut.
yeah,
no,
That's
it
your
just-
reward. It's a shortcut.
that is I love that feeling I get, like when you open up a gate or something that creates it's a very brilliant way of creating a game.
Well, yeah, because whenever you find something like that, you can lean back for a second, you know,
and then you're like, all right,
and then like 10 minutes later, you're back on the edge of your seat again.
it's brilliant. It's really brilliant the way they do it. So
Oh yeah, and 'cause the whole world is basically connected for the most part. You just got to find the little shortcuts
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
back there is easier. Like there's one shortcut that you unlock by killing a boss and whatnot. Like you're in this one area that seems like completely different. You kill this boss, you can open this door, you're back into like the main city.
Yeah.
And it's just in another area.
it's a very, very cool concept, and I think they did a great job with
Mhm.
it. So
I agree.
So I think we're all in agreement that, the difficulty thing, if a game, set difficulty, it's a rewarding experience, all that fun stuff.
Yep.
So we're going to head over to Mr. Trevor Baldwin over here, and he's going to give us his topic of discussion.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull this up, make sure I word it completely right. And okay, here's how I had it say.
Text to call me real quick. Tell 'em I'm recording.
Has the easy accessibility of online gaming killed the sense of community?
Like when you say that, are you talking about like always online? Like you talking about like games like Evolve and Titanfall, or are you talking about people playing multiplayer games with each other and just being snarky and rude to each other? Like,
Well, we could look at both sides, I think.
I mean that's
Toxic communities and stuff like that.
Yeah, so
see, that's just the internet. That's just the
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe we could cover both spectrums. Briefly at least.
Yeah.
Because this is something that could probably be discussed all day long.
Absolutely.
With how the internet is, but I don't even know where to start with that
Well,
one.
and I wanted to say this on the last topic. You were talking about, we were talking about how the Souls games are changing, how people aren't liking it. But maybe as the overall community, they don't, they don't mind the change. But there's that little group that probably on the internet wasn't crazy about the changes, but it's like
Right.
negativity spreads so much faster on the
Yeah.
internet, and then people just pick up on it. They're like, hey, I can't form my own opinion, I'm going to be negative too.
Yeah.
And it just
Like,
snowballs.
That little
And
group's like those old men, like back in my day.
back in my day, yeah, it's
Back
and-
when souls meant something.
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean I maybe it's just me trying to process like what that question was, but I mean the always, if we're talking about games that are always online, then I'm not crazy about them.
I'm not either.
I mean, they have their own niche, but I don't want to hear Fallout 4 get announced and be like, hey, it's always online. You can see your friends running around or something like that. But if it's something like I mean, I don't know, like the Souls games, they kind of do that, don't they? Like you can join, but you have
They
to.
do. Like with the Souls games, playing online is basically a good. It's a good. What's the way to describe it? It's a better way to play in a sense, and not in a way that you'll occasionally see ghosts of people, what they're doing. But
Yeah.
you won't really
Yeah.
see what they're doing. You just see them running around and whatnot. It doesn't happen very often.
See, I don't mind stuff like that.
But you can see like how they died and everything.
I like that.
And it can,
Yeah.
it can help you kind of get a feeling, okay, what am I about to come up on?
It's like a little support system almost.
Yeah,
I
and
guess.
the notes you can leave for people can
Yeah.
either help you or not. Like, there's a lot of unhelpful notes. Like, hey, there's an item hidden ahead. You just walk off a cliff and die.
But it's good. I mean, that stuff's funny though. But I mean, at the same time, it's aggravating. But it's like takes me back to playing Watch Dogs last summer. Like, I enjoyed that game, but it was really annoying when I tried to be going through the story mode and I'd be running somewhere, and then it's all of a sudden everything would just blank out and it'd be like, you're getting hacked right now, and then you have to sit there for like 5 minutes or whatever trying to find who's hacking you.
That's annoying.
And it just sidetracks you, and you're just like,
I'm going to pre-warn you with the Bloodborne. There are certain areas where invasions happen a lot.
Do they?
Playing online, like there was probably 2 areas. No, 3 areas actually. I've been invaded probably over 10 times already, but they only really happen in certain areas because it's just where more people like to invade other people, and it's kind of like later in the game. Like the early parts of the game, you don't worry about it because it doesn't really happen. But whenever you get to a certain area, there'll be a little message saying a sinister bell rings in the distance from like a woman ringing a sinister bell. Be wary. That's basically
you're about to get invaded.
That's what happens when when you get the sinister bell, you ring it. There has to be a sinister bell ringing woman ringing the bell for you to invade that person's world.
Yeah.
So when you see that, you gotta try and find her and kill her to stop people from invading you, because that's the only way they can invade.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
But the community for the most part with that is pretty cool. About there's only been 2 bad apples when I've been invaded that I've had to that were no honor, I guess you would say. Most of the time when I've gotten invaded, we would sit there, do little gestures, they'd like bow and whatnot, and then we'd start fighting.
Right.
But I've had 2 people sneak attack me while I'm sitting there fighting an enemy. Like some of the people will wait for you to finish whatever you're fighting, and then you'll start attacking.
Dicks.
The first time, this is kind of off of a tangent, but the first time I got invaded by one of those guys, I was sitting there fighting this like werewolf type creature, something like that. So you haven't seen him yet, but you'll know what I'm talking about.
All you're making me want to do is go home and flip
Yeah.
right now.
Good. It's really good.
I love it.
But I saw the message like you've been invaded by something. I'm like, oh, this is just what I needed. And I'm sitting there fighting the guy, and I hear footsteps, and I was like, oh, he's coming up behind me. Also, I got stabbed in the back, and this thing smacks me in the face. And all of a sudden, I die, and I'm like, well, this dick.
Yeah.
And then,
go ahead.
the second time that I got invaded by that, I actually killed that guy. Like, he tried to do the same thing. I was messing with a shortcut, getting it ready, and he tried to stab me. I dodged out of the way and freaking smacked him, and then parried him and killed him in one hit. And I just sitting there like, I did this shit.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
No, I was just gonna say the talk. You were talking about people being like that, and I can't pretend like I'm a noble person when it comes to playing online games, because it reminds me of playing Halo Reach with Ben, and we would go into what's called co-op campaign.
Yeah.
And you can play up to 4 people on co-op there, and people would join you. And sometimes we get one person, and we do things like jump in a warthog.
Yeah.
And like Ben and I were the only ones that could hear each other. We'd be on a private chat, and we'll do something like where the guy would jump in the passenger seat, and we'd start driving towards the cliff. And we both I'd drive the warthog off the side, jump off.
I did that all the time on like Warhawk and stuff.
And like we just drive off, and then you keep doing it, and like we just keep messing with him. So I guess we've all probably done our kind of douchey moves.
Oh, yeah, we've all done.
But I mean, I don't know. The internet is a very fickle thing, and I mean, that's why I really don't enjoy playing like shooters as much anymore. I'll play Halo, but like Call of Duty, you both know how.
See, I think that is where this topic is more kind of angled towards, is like, and I'm not just saying Call of Duty because I don't want to be that guy.
No, I've heard plenty of Halo.
That's a really good, example. With
That's
how
the same
easy
thing
it
with
is
Counter-Strike.
for just anybody to get on. I think that's great because, you never know who you're going to get to talk to or meet, and that is very interesting. But like Zach said, there's always those bad apples that want to come in and just troll you, for lack of better terms, for no good reason, just because they know there's nothing that you can do about it besides kill them in a game or something. You can't get up and start a fight with them or something.
You just find them,
and that's what they want. Is people to yell back at them or get mad. Because then it messes with them while they're playing the game and takes away from the experience. So like, in terms of like destroying the community, I don't think so. I think that it has allowed a different side of things, you know, like a different, unfortunately, you know, some people that just want to be that way. I hate that.
I think it's because and I don't mean to interrupt you. I think it's it comes back to the culture where, and especially like younger kids today, they're growing up in a culture where everybody, you're 2 seconds away from knowing where somebody is. We were talking about the Apple Watch earlier. 10, 20 years from now, think of like all the devices we're going to be wearing that you can just, you know, you're going to know where a person is. You know, it's
be a hassle just to figure out, okay, which one do I got to
Yeah, you know, it's going to be so hard to, you know, just keep away from everybody. It's, you know, and people are growing up in this internet community, and it's like
where they think they can say what they want, you know, and like
there aren't any repercussions. So
I think you know, we grew up in a different. Well,
I
agree. You know, we had you know, a computer and stuff at the house, but like I don't think I actually had internet until at least, gosh, 4th or 5th grade. You know, but by that time I'd already kind of gotten the people skills I had needed. You know, where that wasn't built up by, you know, these people on the internet. But like now, these kids, like on Call of Duty,
these kids.
If I had talked like they do,
oh my God, I would have
gotten my ass beat. Yeah. My dad would have probably thrown my console out of the window. You know, I don't understand that. So in terms of destroying the community, like I say, no, but my gosh, it has definitely had an effect on the gaming community, you know, as a whole.
It's funny you say that, because I've got a story about just kid talking all like vulgar. I was playing Counter-Strike a few years back, and not very long, it was like probably 2 years, but I was in just a random server, just a bunch of little mini games, stuff like that, nothing competitive and whatnot. Well, this kid was sitting there like talking so much shit, for lack of a better word. Like he was just going on and on. He sounded like he was about 13 or 14.
Oh yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
And you know, he's sitting there talking all this crap, and all of a sudden, like we heard in the background, like someone yell, like it was his mother.
Oh, I love this.
His mother heard him and started getting into it. He was like, "Oh, what?" All of a sudden, it went quiet. Everyone started laughing because all of a sudden we just see him get offline.
Yeah.
And whatnot. Basically, it's great when justice like that happens, but a lot of the times
9 times out of 10, it's not like that.
It's not like
right.
That. That's rare that happens. That was the only time I've really seen that happen, but
it was rewarding though, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
That would tear me up, you know.
The thing with stuff like that, like all these kids that are playing these games are talking like this, you know, it's because there is no repercussions because their parents won't, you know, discipline them. We're starting to get into a generation now where these parents don't want to discipline their kids and whatnot like that, which Lord knows our parents had no problem disciplining us.
Like, you're right about
and, you
that.
know, and
but not saying that, I deserved it a lot of times.
I did too. And I don't want to just sit here and say it's all just kids, you know, like 13, because it's not.
You
know, I don't want to. It's
grown men that are certain.
Yeah, and there are some, you know, grown men or just adults that I look at and say, you are a child, you know, like, why do you want to be that way? But, you know, that's just.
I've been called a bitch on the internet by grown men and kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the internet, you know. So I just think that it's part of it. In terms of like how easy it is to get online, that's definitely what
keyboard warrior.
Yeah, you know, I think that definitely had some effects on it. But you have to remember that there's always that's not all that's out there. There are good people, and that there are there are people that make these communities worth being a part of. And like whenever you know, a lot of times all it takes is to just ignore those people that want to act that way, and they just disappear. Exactly. Yeah. And that makes these you know, back to the word of the day, how, you know, it makes it a rewarding place to be, you know, to be in, I guess. So that's my view on it, you know.
Yeah. I just think that, you know, with most things in life, you know, kill people with kindness.
Yeah.
And just always let the positives outweigh the negatives. So
yep.
The internet community can be a bad place, but it can also be a positive place, and that's the side you should look for.
Yeah.
And now, since we've got most of our serious discussions out of the way, we're going to end this note with something that's kind of casual, and this is my topic. It's like, what is your, like, what's the name of the word? Like, just like, how do you like to play your games? Like, how do you like the atmosphere to be? Like,
what rituals do you
rituals?
have?
Yes. Like, what makes you the most comfortable when you're
Right.
playing a video game? Like, what do you like to do? What do you like to snack on?
Yeah.
Do you like to be day or night? Do you want to be left alone, etc.? So,
Okay.
I want to know what both of your opinions are. But I'm gonna let John. No, I'm gonna let you guys go first.
I keep forgetting.
Oh, that John guy.
Thank you, John. Well, for me, I do prefer to play my games at night. I don't know what it is. I guess it's just always been like light coming in my room. Seems to no matter and no matter where your TV is positioned, there's always that glare, or even if it's just like
something could be happening there, not missing
out of the corner of my eye. I don't know. It's just something. I've always enjoyed playing my games more at night.
Our eyesight is gonna pay for it about 30 years.
I know. But I really don't have like a heavy ritual, for playing my games. I just like to be comfortable. If I'm playing an RPG, I want to be left alone for the most part. I actually cannot play games that rely heavily on me listening to what's going on around other people. Like I couldn't play Final Fantasy with hanging out with y'all.
Nope.
I can't do it.
Same way.
Because, and I've always been that way because I cannot listen to two sources at the same time. I just can't do it. And if I'm trying to, I'm not fully focused on either one. So that's a big thing with me. If I'm playing something casual like Borderlands, I can be around people because for the most part I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm wanting to go.
Yeah.
So I guess it just depends.
You can sit there and look at them and just basically know where you want.
Exactly.
You know where you're doing.
I like to be comfortable. I play on my couch a lot, but I've been playing more on my rolly chair recently with my computer near me.
Roller chair is a good way to go.
I usually have like a web page pulled up with something, like I don't know, like a walkthrough, or I'm just reading something completely off to the side while playing,
I'm playing Borderlands. I don't even
know. How many times have you both beaten Borderlands? Like not like each of you, like just how many times? Borderlands 2. How many times you beat it?
From my characters, I have been through 9 times.
My characters, I've been through probably 7, 8.
And
these two are Borderlands.
Playing with each other, you could probably add more,
But by ourselves.
Right, just by ourselves. Like I'm thinking of like how many playthroughs I've done with each character. But it's about probably nine times or so for me.
But Zach, what makes you comfortable when you play a video game?
Having nothing on my feet. For one.
Yeah. Those socks, they drive you crazy, don't you?
Even if it's cold, I don't like them on my feet.
Right.
I don't know what it's. I become self-conscious that
I
they're
do
on my
too.
feet.
Yeah.
Unless I'm extremely cold, like going to bed wearing socks
Oh
doesn't
my
bother me.
God.
If I'm cold, if it's really chilly, I'm already a cold-natured person, but if it's in the winter, I'll wear socks. But half the times I'll end up.
What if you fall asleep with your socks and you wake up the next day? Does that not drive you crazy?
Well, it drives me crazy because they're like halfway off my feet or something.
Longest time I woke up with one sock.
Oh my
God.
Yeah.
But I like to how I've got my room set up. I got the TV here and my bed's against the wall, so I'll sit on my bed or lay in my bed, play games a lot of the times, or sit in the rolly chair right with the computer desk right beside where my TV is. And I'll sit half the time. I'll sit in that roller chair and have my feet on the desk.
Yeah,
of course,
I've been doing that more and more recently too, where I'll have my feet propped up.
But it pays its toll whenever you move your feet because all the blood's like on from there. And it's just like,
you try to get up and you like fall down.
You're like, this is the first time I'm learning how to walk.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Like,
don't wonder gamers get blood clots.
I know.
But a lot of times I find myself when I'm playing something, I'll lay down across the bed like that. But the thing is, I can never stay in one spot too
like
long.
that.
Right.
Especially propped on an arm. Like the arm starts losing feel, and I'm basically like, well, can't play with this.
Do you guys, and maybe this is just me, and I don't know if I have carpal tunnel or something. If you ever start playing like a game right when you wake up, does your hand go numb, or do you ever have that problem?
It's hard for me to answer that because there's one thing I cannot stand doing. It's playing a game right when I wake up. I just can't do it. I have to give myself time to wake up. I like to get up and play on my phone for a minute and just kind of lay there and contemplate what's going on that day.
I wonder if that's a ritual thing where you just wake up and sit on your phone for 20 minutes before you get out of bed.
Twitter.
It goes back to that always being connected thing. It's just something I've come to rely on. And I've seen Zack do it because I know you can. Like a couple times you stayed at my house. Like within 5 minutes he'll have his DS or something. I just can't do that. I don't know why. And there's nothing wrong with play. I cannot
have to be in the mood. If it's something I've been like playing a lot, if I'm really into it, yeah, I'll do that a lot.
Right.
But
now, what type of gaming snacks do you guys like? There's drinks and etc. Things like that.
Smart food, white cheddar popcorn. That's my gaming snack. But even then,
slow that down. They call like popcorn out of that.
Yeah, white cheddar popcorn.
White cheddar popcorn.
That's good stuff.
What?
Yeah, sorry. I actually don't eat a lot whenever I'm playing because that goes back to me focusing on two things at once. I just for some reason sometimes have trouble doing it.
You can't just like pop candy and while you're playing.
And I can do candy, but like if it comes to like eating like pizza rolls or something, I don't like getting grease on my controllers
I know.
either.
Isn't it always amazing though? Even though no matter how clean you try to be, those controllers always get that crap in the cracks.
Yeah.
I don't.
It kills me.
It does me too.
Yes. So I actually do not eat like a whole lot while I'm playing games. But if I do, it'll be something simple, kind of like the white cheddar popcorn. And I'm weird, so I keep like a damp rag with me whenever I'm eating and playing games because like the cheddar gets on your fingers and I wipe my hands off real quick.
Cheetos are hell.
Yeah, Cheetos are really bad about that, so I'm glad I don't like Cheetos. I know, I was just disappointed.
It's okay.
I haven't had Cheetos in a long time.
Yeah.
Go try those Cheetos mix-ups. They're pretty amazing.
What snacks do you guys like?
Well, I haven't even got to talk about my whole thing yet.
Oh, you hadn't?
No, and I mean, I was curious what you guys think, and then I was gonna go.
Okay.
So he didn't give his snack yet.
Okay.
I like fruit snacks.
Fruit snacks? Like Fruit
mainly
Gushers?
Lifesavers gummies.
Like Lifesavers gummies.
That's Zack's number one right
fruit
there.
Fruit roll-ups. Like fruit by the foot. I love those little fruit snacks.
Where do you stand on gummy bears?
I really like gummy bears.
Okay.
I haven't had gummy bears in a while.
That's more of a delicacy for Zach. It's like
gummy bears
it's a special occasion.
Crop. I don't get them very often.
Well, this is what you do. After you leave here, you go to Walmart, buy you a big bag of Haribo gummy bears. Get that bag open, go home, play some Bloodborne, and just choke down.
Yeah.
And then wake up, oh my god.
Yeah.
You just have like bears all over your
You don't
face.
even remember going to sleep.
Oh
It's
man.
like a big rainbowy goop.
Oh man. Do you guys always like play with Turtle Beaches or do you play without?
I play with Turtle Beaches most of the time. If
I don't know, they start bugging me after a while.
Online, I'll play with them.
Yeah, if I'm online. But
half the time I won't. I did for a while play with Turtle Beaches on just to get the full immersion, but those headphones start.
I don't know if it's just maybe because I have a giant head, but it's just like those headphones just start like crunching my head.
They do me too. It's not that they're uncomfortable. It's just wearing them for a while. You know, it just kind of gets uncomfortable. Like for me, it depends on the game. Like I've finally been getting back into The Last of Us Remastered. Now that game I will play with Turtle Beaches on because that has a lot more detail into sound than some other games do.
That's one of those games you play with a bunch of people around.
Yeah. One thing I hate about wearing those for a long extended period of time is I don't know if y'all have this trouble. I can see you having it, but not you because of the way your hair is.
I get a mark right there.
Yeah, and what bothers me is right here, and like the next day I'll be fixing my hair, and there'll just be like this little hump, and it just bothers the crap. I'm like, and it's so hard to get out too.
Yeah.
It's like nearly impossible. It takes me usually 2 days to have my hair back to normal. And I've actually got a little one right now. My hair is not thick enough because I just got a haircut.
Now I have that. I don't have that problem until after I like if I take a shower, it's okay. But like if I'm going to work that day, I will not wear them when I'm playing a game. I won't do it. But I guess going back, some of my gaming habits, like I'm like you guys. I like playing at night. It's just something better about it. I think it's like the peacefulness. But But I'm weird
No
because like when it comes to any of my entertainment, I'm basically a hermit. I just want to be left alone. I just like to be antisocial.
Oh.
I like to close my door and just be left alone and play
I
video
agree.
games.
It's the most of me with Counter Strike. Anytime I'm playing competitive casual Counter Strike, no problems. But something always happens when I'm playing competitive Counter Strike, and of course I gotta be into the game, or else we could lose.
Which,
we end up losing.
and am I wrong for saying this, or is competitive Counter Strike is also a little bit more of a time consumer, right? Like, didn't you say
Most matches in competitive Counter Strike will take you an hour and a half to finish.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, so like, that's something you've really got
If
to
you're
be.
like both sides are really putting up a fight, it can take an hour and a half to
Okay.
finish a match. But I'll be sitting there doing something, I gotta get up and do something else, or eat, that thing.
Yeah.
Get food or do something to where I can't sit down, and half the time I come back, I'm the last one alive, the chat's going crazy, everyone's cussing me out.
Yeah.
I'm just like, sorry. And then I quit.
But
Then I quit. Then I have to leave.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, Counter Strike's been one like that, but I'm the same way. Half the time, I just want to be left alone.
left alone. I know I'm like of course I'm an extremely introverted person anyway, but like when it comes to playing games, like when I go home and play Bloodborne today, I am going to shut myself up in my room and just play it like crazy.
That's what you should do.
And I'll probably watch some Daredevil tonight, and then I'll probably read a book,
That's on Netflix.
and then I literally can. I think I can go move somewhere and just
Yeah.
be left alone for the rest of my life. But I enjoy doing this stuff with you guys, and I think that was a fun topic to end the show on.
I agree
We
I
think
agree with.
Yeah.
I agree with what?
We're still learning how to speak.
Yeah.
You gotta give us, some,
English.
we're from Western Kentucky. We really can't help it. So
Right.
we thank you guys for joining us, and you should check out our other episodes and our other, little things that we do at our YouTube page at youtube.com/sadisticpixel, and go to our webpage at sadisticpixel.com to check out our little editorials and stories that we do. And we want you guys to grow with us. Give us likes, comments. What can we do to get better? And as always, I'm Justin, and I'm going to say this for John. He's not here. John, we miss you. This is Zach. This is Trevor. Peace out, everybody. See you later.
That's good. I'm gonna take a mad piss.
We didn't run too much on time, did we?
No, we did good.
That's what I was worried about. Like I was expecting there to be a timer on your phone.